Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big topics into clear, understandable pieces. And today, we are tackling something we all use every single day, but maybe don't think about enough: electricity, and the huge global effort to make it sustainable.
All right, let's kick things off with just one number, 93%. Just let that sink in for a second. What on earth could that represent?
Well, get this. That's how much of South Africa's electricity comes from coal, 93%. I mean, that is way, way above the global average, which is sitting at around 39%. And, relying that heavily on one thing, that creates a massive and pretty urgent challenge for the country's future.
So that brings up the big question, right? How did we even get here? How does a whole country get so dependent on one single, finite source of power? Let's dive in and really unpack this power problem.
Okay, so let's be real about fossil fuels, like coal, oil, and natural gas. They come with some major downsides. First off, they aren't infinite. We are literally burning through a resource that took millions and millions of years to form, and the immediate costs are also pretty steep. We're talking about serious air pollution, which can lead to respiratory illnesses, not to mention the destruction of natural habitats from mining and the incredibly dangerous conditions miners have to work in.
And this is where it gets tricky, because it's a classic double-edged sword. On one hand, for South Africa, coal is, well, it's reliable, it's pretty cost-effective, and there's a lot of it. But on the other hand, that stability comes with a really hefty price tag. You've got significant air pollution, you've got acid rain, and the power stations themselves, they cost an absolute fortune to build. So, okay, if coal has all these issues, what's the alternative? I mean, where do we go from here? To build a more sustainable future, we have to start looking toward cleaner, renewable energy. It's really the only path forward. All right, let's explore what's out there. And we're going to start with one of the oldest players in the renewable energy game, harnessing the incredible power of moving water. So how does hydroelectricity actually work? The idea is actually pretty brilliant in its simplicity. You're basically just capturing the raw kinetic energy of flowing water, using that immense force to spin these gigantic turbines, and boom, that motion gets converted directly into electricity. But here's the thing, right? Even clean energy comes with its own set of trade-offs. Hydropower? Yeah, it produces cheap electricity, there's no pollution, and it's generally more reliable than wind or solar. But, and it's a big but, the dams are insanely expensive to build, you can't just put them anywhere, and they can really disrupt the local ecosystems for fish and plants. All right, next up, let's talk about tapping into the wind. This is all about using those huge turbines to turn the kinetic energy of wind into electricity. And this isn't just a theory. South Africa is already on it, with big wind farms up and running in places like the Eastern and Western Cape. And once again, you can see it's a balancing act. The pros are pretty tempting. I mean, the wind itself is free. There's no air pollution, and you can even keep farming the land right around the turbines. But on the flip side, the wind is unpredictable, the turbines can be pretty noisy, and, they can unfortunately pose a risk to local birds and bats. Okay, now for the big one, capturing the sun. Solar energy is probably the renewable we're all most familiar with. It's all about using those special photosensitive cells, the ones in solar panels, to transform sunlight directly into usable electricity. And man, the appeal of solar is huge. It's totally clean, it's silent, and you can put it pretty much anywhere the sun shines. But you guessed it, it comes with its own set of challenges. The upfront cost to get set up can be pretty high. Your power supply is completely dependent on sunshine, which means you need some kind of battery storage for nights and cloudy days. And for those large-scale solar farms, you need a lot of land. So, we've talked about the big three: water, wind, and sun. But what's next? Well, scientists are looking way beyond those, exploring a whole bunch of really cool, innovative energy sources that could power our future. And this is where things get super exciting. We're talking about generating fuel from organic stuff, or biomass. The massive shift to electric and hydrogen cars. Even harnessing the relentless 24/7 power of ocean waves. And get this, they're even figuring out how to capture the gas from decomposition and turn that into bioenergy. I mean, any one of these could be a total game changer, pointing to a future with a whole menu of clean energy options. Okay, so all that future tech is awesome. But while we're waiting for it to become mainstream, there's another source of power that we tend to forget about. And it's one that's a lot closer than you think. In fact, it's literally right inside your own home.
Now here's a thought that might change how you see everything. What if the cleanest, greenest energy of all is the energy we never even use in the first place? That's right. Being smart about how we use electricity, responsible consumption, is the other half of the sustainability puzzle, and that power is in your hands.
And don't think these are just tiny changes. The impact can be massive. Just look at this. Insulating your ceiling can cut a whopping 125 kilowatt hours a month from your usage. Smart design, like building a house to face the sun, using blinds to control heat, and the easy one, just switching to LEDs and turning off lights. It all adds up, big time.
All right, let's talk about your hot water heater or geyser. This thing is probably one of the biggest energy vampires in your whole house. But the good news is, taming it is pretty straightforward. Lower the thermostat, put it on a timer, wrap it in an insulating blanket, and hey, maybe shower instead of taking a bath. Each one of those steps saves a surprising amount of energy.
The kitchen is another place where small habits can make a real dent. Make sure your oven door seals tight. Boil water in a kettle. It's about 50% more efficient than on the stove. Crazy, right? And even your fridge. Just leaving some space behind it for air to flow and letting frozen food defrost inside it, all of these things help it run smarter.
And last but not least, let's hit the laundry room and talk about those sneaky phantom power draws. For your washing machine, always try to wait for a full load and use cold water when you can. And please, try to line dry your clothes whenever possible. Oh, and for all your electronics, TVs, computers, radios, turn them off at the wall plug. Seriously, they're still sipping power even when they look like they're off.
So at the end of the day, yeah, the big energy challenges need huge investment and innovation. But what we've seen is that real immediate power also lies in all these small daily choices. It brings this entire global issue right back down to a very personal question. So looking at your own home and your own habits, what one change will you make first?